Happy Friday. Hope you've had a wonderful Friday evening. If you are just now getting out and about, it's going to be a nice evening out. We're expecting our temperatures to hang around these mid 50s for most of the night and then drop to the low end 50s as we get to midnight into your Saturday. Sorry, I'm a little out of breath. I forgot my clicker and ran in there to go get it. So bear with me. But as we look outside right now, Parkway looks like things are flowing smoothly. I haven't seen much as far as accidents go, so make sure you're driving safely this evening as well. It's going to be a great evening, even into your Saturday. We're going to see some nice, beautiful conditions. Looking across the southeast, we're seeing a lot of these 50s tracking across the area. Parts of Georgia, though, already in the 40s. Looks like Fort Payne at about 45. So not too many of our communities will be in those upper end 40s, but we could see some of those as we look farther east for those communities as they are closest to, we're closest to that Georgia area there. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go over, I do see a couple of people talking about next week. So I'll get to that in just a moment. I absolutely promise, because I know there's going to be some rain chances that folks are concerned about. So rest of this evening, like I mentioned, nice and comfortable. We'll see that for the next couple of days. Sunday's when we start to see the next possible chance for rain, and even still, it's going to be light in nature, 20% chance. So what we're expecting is just that morning, seeing some sprinkles every now and again. Not expecting a heavy downpour, and not all of us will see it, but we will definitely start to see an opportunity for a shower. So if you're headed out the door early on your Sunday morning, whether it be for church, maybe you're walking the dog, you're taking a nice run in the morning, it will be in those upper 50s, so it will feel nice. However, could see a little extra humidity added in with that rain chance, so keep that in mind. Tomorrow, though, highs are going to be about 77. Our record for this time of year is about 80. So we are hoping to stay 3 or 4 degrees below that. But some areas, some cities, we are kind of already thinking they may get ahead of the game and be closer to that 80-degree mark. So we'll keep an eye out on that, and me and Jeff both will update you should things get warmer than anticipated. But Sunday, we're going to see that kind of warm front move late Monday, but starts to take some type of motion south. I believe that's the area it's headed to, moving south. We'll start to see that Sunday, but the greatest chance of it moving Monday, giving us back to our average temperatures, about 67 come Monday. So here's your look at Saturday. We'll keep a decent breeze around for Saturday as well. Gusts could get up to about 15 to 20 miles per hour. Not expecting strong wind gusts, but enough for you to notice a breeze every now and again. Really feeling kind of fall-like, except just a touch warmer than we would want it to be. But as we get closer to the evening hours, we'll be back in those 60s. So for whatever you've got planned on your Saturday, I know a couple of holiday markets are already opening. I think the Galaxy of Lights starts tomorrow, if it didn't start tonight. But plenty of opportunities for you to get out and about in the valley, just enjoy some things. So let's go ahead and start moving into that rain conversation. So here's what we're looking at so far. Sunday, like I mentioned, very minuscule chance of rain. Could see some showers out the door for your Sunday morning. And of course, tomorrow we'll have a better pinned down chance of giving you the hour by hour of what that will look like. Looking ahead to Monday, Monday's when we're expecting to see that warm front move. High pressure starts to move south, and that will give us an opportunity to see rain chances increasing from Tuesday into the following weekend. So you'll see here we've got 30% on Tuesday and 20% on Wednesday. Tuesday looks like it's going to be the stronger chance for rain. However, it's not the highest percentage of rain that we'll see next week. Expectations are for that to be more of a wet day. Then Wednesday, we'll see it kind of back off a bit, but we have a stronger storm system set up looking at the back half of the week. And so far, haven't seen anything on my end, have not seen anything that exactly screams severe first alert weather as of right now. And this is a week out, so we still have a good 6-7 days to get there. I can already hear the children laughing. I said 6-7. Oh no. Anywho, looking ahead though, rain chances, like I mentioned, will increase going into that Friday because we do have that storm system set up and could see another front on top of that as well. Because you'll notice we go from 68 on Friday, 56 by Saturday. That's the high. So we'll have another kind of rinse and repeat from what we saw this past week, where we anticipated very strong storms. And I had, I believe Friday we had a tornado watch. Thankfully, nothing in our neck of the woods spun up at all, but we did have all eyes and ears on that. So, not saying we could see that same setup, but I want you to kind of be in that mindset of knowing that's what we're going to deal with. Some of those heavy rain chances at times. Thunderstorms are expected for Friday. And as we get closer to these days, you'll have to remember 10 days, that's a lot of ground to cover. And things can change. Like I mentioned with that high pressure, that area of high pressure, kind of moving out of the way on Monday. Right now, it's looking like it's moving later on in that evening. And that's going to cause some possible overnight showers, more so for Tuesday, midnight into the early Tuesday mornings. So that being said, that high pressure could move earlier than anticipated, later than anticipated, push those rain chances back further up for us to see some afternoon showers on Monday. And that's not what it's doing currently, but I'm just giving you the hypotheticals of the things that we look at. Things like that can change overnight as they do. So we want you to be well aware of when we have these opportunities for a strong system set up, like looking at Friday. Right now, we're not seeing very severe threats as we come across. The model guidance is not all there. They're not all agreeing. And we want to make sure as a team, we're all getting to an agreement. Models have come to an agreement. Right now, what we're expecting is strong thunderstorms, but you have to reach several different levels of criteria before you get to a severe thunderstorm. So, and even beyond that. So keep that in mind as you kind of watch our team forecast things, and when you're kind of like, well, why wasn't this one severe, but this was? There's a lot of little criteria, bits and pieces that go in there. There's a very specific number, like all the way down for our winds, has to be, I believe, 50 is when we start looking at the severe level. 50 miles per hour is when we start looking at the severe threats with strong winds. See, everything has a threshold, a level, and that's what we'll share with you when things change. So right now, the reason that we're kind of keeping our eye on Friday into Saturday is because we have that major drop in temperature, which was kind of reminiscent of earlier this week. Thankfully, hey, before we jump to that, not seeing 20s so far. So no one jumped to that. However, we are going to see some showers, and just go ahead and get in your mind that next weekend, maybe a washout. Make some plans, some backup plans if you have some outdoor activities going on, or you're planning to do some outdoor activities. Have some backup plans. For my folks that have any kind of decoration out on the lawn or on your patio, go ahead and start thinking of some backup plans for that as well, just to be proactive. So these are just some of the things we want you to think about when we do kind of predict that there's a storm. And I know there was a couple of folks already that were kind of concerned. A couple of our comments were kind of concerned about making sure that this isn't going to scare our communities and freak people out. That's the last thing we want to do. That's the whole point of us giving you like first alert weather days as early as possible. And oftentimes our first alert weather days, sure, they're for severe weather, but they can also be for things that are not as severe as you think. Maybe it's going to put an impact on your day, like how we had snow flurries. That was a first alert weather day because it is the middle of November, and that doesn't typically happen. So that's going to bring out a first alert weather day. And then we had our first freeze of the season. Temperatures dropped below freezing. So those are the things we also think about on top of your run-of-the-mill strong thunderstorms, tornado, hurricane kind of weather. So just keep that in mind. I see Miss Donna doesn't want any bad weather. We may get a little bit, but right now we aren't seeing it to be incredibly strong. Miss Hannah, you were the first to kind of talk about the storm anxiety. I 100% understand. It is a tough thing for us to forecast, and we want to make sure. And as always, we try and make sure that we tell you well in advance when we feel that something is going to change in our forecast that we should have our communities look out for. And right now, while we're waiting for model guidance, I still want you guys to keep your eye on this as well. We would do the same. So we're going to keep monitoring that and see how Friday turns out. There's just a little skepticism on some of our models that some of them are doing a lot of rainfall and expecting a great deal of a washout, and some of them just aren't expecting as much. So we're trying to go ahead and make our best decision on that. So let's see. Severe threat of weather in Madison. For right now, we are kind of seeing it moving as a band of storms going into our Friday. So just about everyone will see a heavy chance of showers pouring through at that point. So it's right now kind of hard to pin down an exact timeline for you, but as we get into this weekend, I'll definitely do some further digging and seeing if we can get any closer to figuring out our forecast as far as the timeline goes, because that changes as well. A lot of times we start to see those changes happen with the forecast overnight or weekends. Sometimes we will also see opportunities for the forecast to just kind of switch as we get into the work week. It just really depends. So we will definitely check 1,000 times on that. We definitely want to make sure that we're giving everybody the information that they best need. You all are so welcome. Yeah, we don't want it to, we know that weather can be scary. That's one thing that all meteorologists know. We know, and a lot of us were really inspired by that point because we're like, hey, I grew up like myself, with Hurricane Katrina happening, and then April 27th, I was in Birmingham, Alabama, and that was an opportunity for me to feel like I trusted our meteorologists, because if my grandparents were trusting them and, you know, kind of going over everything they were saying, they were taking it for 1,000% solid word. So that's what got me into forecasting, and that's what gets a lot of us into this meteorology position, because we want to make sure we break down the science that we love in a way that others can understand, because it can be confusing and it can be scary. So that's the last thing we want. You know, we say first alert, and I try and stress that as much as possible. We say it, but we want you to be alert, right? But we also don't want anyone to go into panic mode, because we want you to know what to do when you're expecting these things. Oh, of course, Ian, I love weather too. See, I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't love weather, right? I love it. And just being close to a community where I'm able to kind of guide you all in the right direction, that's like really fun for me. I love it. So all that to be said, rain chances are increasing for the next work week. So go ahead, pull out those umbrellas, rain jackets, rain boots, if that's your vibe. That's my vibe. So we'll have some rain chances in and around most of next week. We'll see how well we take that plunge into the 50s. Looks like it's not going to stick around very long, but we'll see if that hangs us into the low end 60s as well. Hopefully starts to dry out by Thanksgiving, because this upcoming week is the week before Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's the following week, if I remember correctly. I feel like that's correct. My brain is just kind of like Thanksgiving is someplace in the mix. But yes, as long as tornadoes aren't involved, you're fine. Exactly. Me too. Because, I mean, just as much as it's a lot on you all, when we're tracking and telling you what's going on, it's a lot of moving parts for us as well. So I'm with you on that. As much as I love weather, that's the one thing that I'm like, oh goodness, makes me a little nervous, because I'm like, okay, I've got to make sure everybody knows where they're supposed to be. And I follow in behind Brad and let him take the lead, and then we go from there. So, but thankfully, not expecting that as of right now. Not expecting any tornadoes, just expecting some showers. Could see some storms at times on Friday, but even still, low end risk for that at the moment. I feel like by Sunday we will have a much better glance at what's to come for the end of the next week, because we're at the end of this week. So I feel like that's the challenge in there for us. But I'm hoping that our forecast will dry out as we get closer to Thanksgiving. It looks like models are still kind of on the fence on that. I want a dry Thanksgiving, me personally, but we'll see how that goes. By that point, we should be kind of back into those 60s for a little bit, but could see some rain-cooled air hanging around the valley by that part of the week. So, of course, as always, we'll keep you up to date. We're about to go on at 10 in about 12 minutes, so I will catch you then. We'll do this all over again, go back through the forecast and talk about some things that you can do in the valley, and catching up on playoff football. Carl Prather's in, so I never get to see him because he works such different shifts, but super excited for that. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy it while it is nice, beautiful, and sunny. And I will catch you in a few minutes. I'll be back here tomorrow for my weekend folks that are like, Jayda, where are you? I'll be back here tomorrow, 4:30. You know our time. We'll sit and chit chat, and hopefully I can do some further digging and see if we get any better guidance for Friday. But I'll keep you up to date. Have a good one.